I think why that video probably went viral is because not a lot of people can, estimate the cost on that kind of situation. So you're probably, the first one to do it.
Hmm.
And people have not seen that before, and so they think it's creative and original.
Welcome back to Gruber Motor Company. Our special guest today is Simon Salard, who is a TikTok expert. Actually got us into TikTok, and we were discussing this morning how he found out about us, and it turns out it was through Instagram. Got a hold of my wife on Instagram, and the next thing you know, he came down, visited us, and tell us about that.
Well, I was, in the Tesla space, and I was trying to grow my community, and then I stumbled upon his profile on Instagram, and I had to reach out because I thought, they were probably the only one in Arizona to have roadsters, and I had to check it out, so I messaged him on Instagram, got to speak with his wife, and next thing I know, I was in his facility just checking out roadsters.
So we of course, recognizing that Simon is a roadster and a Tesla aficionado, we ended up giving him a roadster for a couple of days to just drive around, one of ours. And what did you think of that experience?
That was definitely something that I think anyone should try. It's really an experience like any other sports car, but in a different way because that one's electric, obviously, so it's a little different. But it still has that, you know, old school manual feel to it. So if you're used to a sports car or a Tesla, you'll kind of see the Roadster be a combination of both, which is, you know, is completely different. You have to try it.
Now, Simon is also a Tesla owner, and he has a pretty special Tesla. Tell us about that.
So I have a Model 3. I wish I had a Model S, but the way I did it is I really made my Model 3 unique. I wanted to stand out on the road, and I think it's a lot more fun to stand out on the road than have like a white or gray car. So I couldn't choose between two colors, and I decided to go with half black and half chrome gold. Um, and that's what helped me really grow on social media is by being the only one on the road having a chrome gold wrap.
It is a beautiful car. I ran into Simon actually up in Sedona about a week or two ago at one of the
Yep,
superchargers, and yeah, it's a stunning car.
totally unexpected meetup.
So Simon is also very successful on TikTok. We're just gaining some ground there, and we're pretty proud of about, 90,000 subscribers these days. But this morning I asked Simon, so what are you up to? And
Just over 2 million followers.
yeah, that is amazing. We were also talking about the challenges of growing on any of these platforms. Why is it so hard for newcomers to gain that large a following?
That's a good question. It's hard for new people to actually get a big following on TikTok because or any really social media platform because people have already done most of what, people want to see. And so the most challenging part of it is coming up with creative new ideas and this is where only a certain amount of people can come up with consistent content over and over every single day. That's also things that viewers have never seen before. So, the space is already taken by so many creators. So to stand out, you really have to do something different.
Yeah. We also find that consistency seems to be very much the order of the day when we experiment.
Hmm.
We did a video a couple of weeks ago, which Jasmine did, and didn't realize that people really were expecting a certain brand, look, and feel, and me behind the microphone. And for about a week or so, we actually lost subscribers on YouTube. TikTok seems to be a bit more forgiving, and it's probably because there's such a large influx of people. Even if you lose some, you don't notice it, perhaps.
Absolutely. And there's a lot more content to be made on TikTok than on YouTube. So, if you're making a video on YouTube per week, I would probably say that equals to 5 to 7 videos on TikTok. So once you create a video that's out of your brand on TikTok, you can easily recover with all the other videos. Whereas if you do that on YouTube, people will remember that video for at least a week if you post once a week, for example. So that's probably the reason why, that loss in followers.
So your most successful TikTok video, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was actually on a road trip and I was just trying to make a funny video on the autopilot that Tesla offers. And so I thought of making three different segments. One where I'm, 1 month into Tesla ownership and I'm just barely holding the wheel. And then 1 year, just like chilling like this. And then I think it was 2 years or something, I was just sleeping on a pillow while driving on autopilot. And I'm surprised that TikTok didn't take it against the community guidelines, but it ended up having 25 million views because people, had so much to say about Tesla autopilot. And, it was just conversations after conversations in the comment section. So, turns out to be a really popular video. And I have a lot of creators that started replicating that video because they thought it was so original.
So content is definitely important. And so it sounds like you get surprised too.
By the views?
Well, by the views and tell us when you do a video, like us, we sometimes think this one's going to be very successful, and then we're surprised, and then something else that we just threw out there for as filler takes over and becomes the one that everyone's watching.
Yeah, that's where TikTok can be a little unpredictable. A lot of the times I felt the exact same way as you did. I was like, this video is going to be viral. I put so much effort into this video. And then, it ended up not having as many views as I expected. And then, on a Sunday night, I'm like, oh, I got to post something. And I just take a random video that I shot 2 months ago, put some music over it, and then that one goes viral. And it's really random.
We find, too, that certain kinds of content can be exploited. For example, the guy in Finland that blew up his Tesla Model S. There were a lot of copycats that were essentially trying to show, like he did, that Tesla has an unreasonably priced battery pack at $22,000, and the car's worth 25 to 30. Everybody's been playing that shtick. What we found is, since we do a lot of reverse engineering, and so we have to cost these things, and we have to run out the bill of materials, we find that Tesla is not overcharging. In fact, that's at cost. And we were able to demonstrate that in a video. And it didn't quite go viral, but we did very well with that because it presented a completely different viewpoint, something contrary to what had been going viral and going, where that was popular. The other thing we find is sometimes the magazines will pick up our stories. Have you found that yourself?
I have not actually, but that's very interesting. I think it's because you're more in the professional space. I'm more on the creator space. And I think why that video probably went viral is because not a lot of people can, estimate the cost on that kind of situation. So you're probably, the first one to do it. And people have not seen that before, and so they think it's creative and original.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the magazines are looking for a unique perspective on something, and that's newsworthy.
Absolutely.
Now, hold on real quick. You do have to get articles to get verified. Are you verified on platforms?
I am not verified, and in 2022, that was my goal. And so that's why I'm doing a lot of PR moves. And so, for example, at the beginning of the year, I went on live TV out here in Arizona, and then I got interviewed to be on a Forbes article as well. So I'm trying to get verified. I don't know exactly what the steps are to get verified, but you can only do your best.
So one of the questions that Max has here is, what's the process for making a video? Maybe you can talk a bit about the equipment that you use. I mean, some people, like Christina Kirsch, is it, or Jessica Kirsch, she just uses her cell phone,
Oh, that's what I do too.
Okay, well, let's talk about that then. So, as you can see in our studio here, the guys keep coming to me for, more budget, more equipment, fancier lenses, fancier equipment and cameras. And I find that a lot of the successful, media People are using cell phones.
Well, the advantage with using the cell phone is that you don't have to process your content. You don't have to edit that much your content. iPhones are made for that. They're made for direct output. And so if you have a good quality iPhone, I'm sure other companies can do the same, but I'm specifically on iPhone. Um, I just get to sometimes shoot and post it on the spot.
Right.
And that's the advantage of it. If I had a professional camera and have to put it into Premiere Pro or After Effects, edit it, and then export it and then put it on TikTok,
Yeah.
that would require a lot more time, especially for how many videos I post. I just wouldn't be able to keep up, and I probably would need someone on the side to do it for me,
Right.
which I don't. So
There's also the element of spontaneity. Last week, the world's most expensive Roadster showed up here. It was one that was sold at an auction on Bring a Trailer, and it fetched $190,000, which is the highest recorded sale of any Roadster ever. Even new, they topped out at about $170,000 or so.
okay.
So this car shows up, and last minute, we're taking it off the transporter. We were actually driving it off the transporter, I should say, and it was just so convenient having a cell phone doing a quick TikTok video versus bringing all the production equipment out there and the audio team, and which it just wouldn't have happened with if we had to plan it to that extent.
True. It does help with unexpected, times where you have to just pull out your phone and just take a video.
So some of your ideas seem so simple looking in, but perhaps require more work than people think. Do you have any videos like that you'd like to?
Well, actually, a lot of them, people only see the output of what I put out on social media and they don't see the back end. Only creators actually understand what it takes. And for example, it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of creative, brainstorming to come up with the idea. It takes a lot of research. I spend a lot of time on TikTok actually finding ideas. And people don't realize that because they just see the 10-second video that's out on their feed. And so after I have the idea, I actually have to plan the shooting. I have to plan the lighting on it. I understand I don't use like professional lights, but the way that the sun hits my face or hits the car itself looks totally different, and it could really change the output of the video, what people like to see or not.
Sure. So the execution is very important, and like you say, people can't see that, especially in a 10-second TikTok reel.
And that only comes with experience. It only comes with creating hundreds of videos. At one point, you understand what good lighting is, what good timing is, that kind of stuff.
What we're finding is that as we experiment with different types of video content, we're beginning to zero in on what we know will be more successful. Have you developed a formula like that as well yourself?
Absolutely, and I think it's different for every person. But I have seen the type of content that works really well for me. For example, I'll give one to you. For example, a lot of people like to see added modifications to my car, which is really what my content is based upon. But I used to have a lot of comments that would say, add more gold, add more carbon fiber. And so what I would do is I would use that comment and make a video where I would add something gold or I would add something carbon fiber. And the reason why I think those were working so well is because people were seeing that I was looking at their comments and I was using it to make more content. And, you have to remember those are social media platforms. And so what social is really interacting with your followers.
Right.
And so when people see that you're using their comments, instantly, if I use someone else's comment on a video, on that video, they'll also comment in order to get onto the next video. So that creates, a lot of engagement, and that's how, those videos do a lot better.
Yeah, we do, at the end of each of our videos on YouTube, we encourage the viewers to tell us what they want to see more of. And you're right, it's a wealth of information, and it guides you what your viewers are going to want to see and increases engagement.
Absolutely. It's, it's marketing at the end of the day, and those are the call to actions, and, it helps people create more and more content, especially, you want, if you're running out of ideas or creative ideas, that's also another source where you can get those ideas.
Yeah. You had mentioned early on that you were one of the original TikTok creators focusing on Tesla. Do you think that there's a saturation level now where there's something new that needs to be looked into, or can that still be played?
That's a great question, and I have seen creators come up with content with other EVs, like the Lucid one, for example, for example, the BMW that was changing colors. Those are all content ideas that have never been seen before, and so those people are the originator of, that kind of content. And I was, when it comes to Tesla, and I have seen, slow down in interest compared to what I had at the beginning. But I think if you're creative enough, you can always come up with content that no one has seen before, even if it's still on Tesla content.
Yeah. One of the videos that we just did last week, and it's live now, is on a new battery platform. And getting away from lithium-ion multi-cell type batteries to graphene supercapacitors, basically. And the early indications are that the performance of that battery is substantially different than lithium-ion.
Really?
Eventually less cost, 100-year lifespan, no cooling required, no fires during puncture and collisions. I mean, it has substantial improvements. And anyway, we are going to be collaborating with a company that makes these cells, successfully has gone into production, and converting a Tesla Model S P90D Ludicrous to this new form of battery. We were talking to Alex Guberman. He said, look, if I've got a video that does 50,000 in the first day or two, that's an unsuccessful video. For us, 5,000 within a day or two is pretty darn good. But I think to summarize that whole concept, our audience, I think, is looking for new technology and practical application of that. What we do is nothing different than what Tesla does on steroids, but Tesla can't share the way that we do. They can't open up and provide camera views of their R&D labs. All that intellectual property is highly guarded. Whereas we're just the opposite. We're freely sharing our IP. And I think that will probably continue to be what will grow our audience.
Absolutely. That's what you should be known for, because Tesla can't, and that's where you have the advantage.
I got a video this morning from one of our customers who runs a museum in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay.
He's in his 90s, bless his heart. He bought a Tesla Roadster off of our site. He didn't like the price of the cars. They were about $100,000. This one was $70,000. He says, well, I like that one. And I said, well, no, that's a brick Roadster. That means it doesn't run. It's got a dead battery. He says, well, I don't want a car that doesn't run. So I asked him, I said, Alan, what are you going to do with the car? He says, well, it's going to be in a museum. I said, it's going to sit there and look pretty, right? You're going to drive it? No. I said, well, that's your car. Within seconds, that car was sold. Right, exactly. Well, he sent me this really cool video this morning. He's been in touch ever since. Great guy. And it was a video about Elon and all the failures. The rockets blowing up. And I sent back an email. I said, it describes our company. Failure and innovation are inextricably linked. You can't have one without the other. It's the guys that lay down and won't get back up that never get a chance to innovate, because you've got to go through a lot of failure in order to become successful.
Absolutely. And
so that was an inspiring video.
That's amazing. I mean, it works for, anything in life. Without failure, you don't have any successes.
Yeah.
And if we come back to social media, I mean, you know how many videos I've had that really flopped, but people only see the good ones.
Right.
So you have to come up with new content all the time and put it out there and see what works and what doesn't. And in your case, it's innovation and new technology, and that's what people love to see, apparently.
What was funny, too, is we've been doing this for 40 years. And our voicemail for a couple of decades or so was always greeting customers the same way. It says, welcome to Gruber Industries, where technology and innovation merge. Well, Max has an ear for slogans, and he reminded I think last week he reminded me of that slogan, and I had forgotten about it. But very true.
That, are you sticking with that slogan?
Well, I think that we used to use that when we had auto attendant,
Okay.
and we went back to having a live operator actually answer the phone. But you're right, we could probably incorporate that into her greeting message. That would be cool. All right, so what was your favorite video to create?
Ooh, that is the most interesting question I've ever gotten. Um, Most interesting? In what way, though? It's
Well, most challenging, most expensive, the one that, well, I think you already mentioned that one. They got 25 million views. That was sort of unexpected.
it was unexpected, but it wasn't the most interesting one that I've come up with. Um, I think if I can answer that question without being a specific video, I think collaborations with other people, with other creators, was probably what was the most interesting to me. I was able to collaborate with other Tesla creators that are even bigger than I am now. And so we got to like race both of our Teslas. We got to, do comparisons and everything. Then all of the videos that I got to do with the Roasters, those were amazing. I was trying to bring the Tesla under the parking.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was a
Yep.
great shot. And I
And
think you got a lot of traction with that,
that
too.
one got a lot of videos or a lot of views. And the other one for the Roaster that got a lot of views was the one where I showed how to charge it because people were not, I had never seen it before, even, bringing it back to my home.
Right.
And it was so different. And I think that's what people were wanting to see, is something different. And so I had never seen a video of someone plugging in a Tesla Roadster. So that one did really, really well. And so I think those are the kind of videos that I'm more interested in doing, especially in the future, is really, partnering with other creators, other brands to really show something different to my viewers.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. That's a good strategy. So, 2 million TikTok subscribers is a very impressive statistic. And of course, there are YouTube creators that are in the millions. What we're finding as a Johnny Come Lately is it's very difficult. It's a clawing your way, And can you tell us a bit perhaps about how you got to 2 million and how you think the landscape is either the same or has changed these days?
Yeah, so if I can start from the beginning, actually. So my sister was on TikTok before I was, and she had a viral video on her profile for just dancing, I think, in a store. Um, and she got, I think, 100 or 200,000 views. And it was at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was just at home spending a lot of time on social media. So my thought was, hey, I have an interesting looking car. I am trying to build my Instagram. Maybe if I jump on TikTok, that will help me from my Instagram. And I think 2 or 3 videos later is when I did the trend where I basically was wiping on a certain car and then it turned into a different car. And so I was wiping my girlfriend's Jeep, my fiance now, um, and that turned into my gold Tesla. And I think people were not expecting that. And that was at the start of TikTok, and I got way over 1 million views on that video. And that's for someone who basically had under 100 followers at that point, I think. So
Yeah.
I saw a huge potential at that point. I was just mind blown that you could get over 1 million views for just starting out on the platform. So my objective once that happened and how much traction I saw, I was like, hey, I'm gonna start posting 3 times a day. And that was honestly the most challenging part of my whole TikTok progression to 2 million followers, is really posting every single day, at least 2 or 3 times. And people don't realize that, to really grow, you can't just be posting once a week. People see so much content, they will not remember you. So, I had a whole list on my phone with every single idea that I was going to post for every single day. I was basically on a schedule. And I was creating videos. I was posting one in the morning, one at lunchtime, because obviously I still have my full-time position. So I still do that on the side. So I had to do it, in between my breaks. And then at night I would post a third one. And that was really, really tiring to do over time. Now I don't do as much, but to get to the 2 million point, especially to get to the 1 million, because then it kind of followed. That's where the hardest part was, is coming up with creative idea 3 times a day. And to get viral videos, I had to be strategic about it, and I had to find what was working at that moment. So I was jumping on trends, but I was also jumping on trends, but making my own with a twist.
Right.
Because people see those trends and they see it over and over again. So if you just do the way everybody else does that trend, you're not going to stand out. And so I was using those trends, but I was kind of turning. So I was basically using trends, for example, that were based on dancing or that were based on real estate, and I would turn it into car content. So people had never seen that trend, but with a car. And
I
so
see.
that's how I really stood out over time.
So that's the interesting thing, in what I heard you say as well, is that you were able to integrate the posting with a full-time job. And I think a lot of people have that question. I can't afford to quit my job and do this full-time, but
Yep.
I can't monetize social media sufficiently to go full-time. So you were actually able to juggle both and still do, or are you now
And still
exclusive?
do.
Still do. Okay.
Still do,
Amazing.
which I have been asked by multiple people, close friends, close family members, and I was also asked on my Forbes article, is do I consider just not working full time at my current position and just switching into social media full time? And I was telling them that basically social media is nothing guaranteed. I could just, completely dip tomorrow and no one would ever see my content and I would basically be jobless. It's a risky industry, but that's why I'm doing it half my full time and or I'm working full time and on the side I do my social media. Is very draining. I work 15 to, I don't know how many hours a day because I have to come up with all that content and also spend 8 hours of my full-time position working in real estate.
Between both jobs, yeah.
Exactly. So I know a lot of creators, especially in the Tesla field of TikTok, that have just, stopped working full-time and work on social media.
Yeah.
And it's doing good for them, but I just don't know how sustainable it is.
Do you find that there's a point at which you reach critical mass? You get a certain number of subscribers and then it becomes self-perpetuating, or do you have to claw and fight for those subscribers every inch of the way?
You do have to fight to keep your subscribers, in case followers on TikTok, but it is something that you have to keep being consistent. If you stop for a month, people will notice that. And so if you are full-time and you decide not to post for a while, that's when it can really hit your TikTok progression.
So you start seeing attrition then if you
Yep.
begin to back away.
You have to keep on that schedule that I spoke about and just keep going and going. Especially, for example, on YouTube, I know that a lot of creators specifically post, for example, on Mondays at 7 p.m. because people get used to that. And if you don't post, I'm thinking right now of Good Mythical Morning. I'm used to seeing those people on YouTube post every morning. And so when I wake up, I know that I'm going to be watching one of their videos.
Right.
TikTok is a little different, but if you don't appear on their page within the day, then you slowly become less relevant.
What would be your advice regarding staying with a theme and a formula? I noticed a lot of creators these days are beginning to shake things up a bit, experimenting. The few times that we tried that, we actually went negative because, like you said, people are expecting a certain brand, they're expecting a certain look and feel, a certain type of content, and if they're shortchanged, they may not hang in there with you.
Yeah, I think you should only experiment if you see your content engagement go down a lot and it's just not picking back up. I think that's a sign that you have to start something new. And some people, some people start with a certain content type and then they realize that it's not working out anymore just because, people got bored of it. And so they completely switch into another field of content, and that's where they get a lot more subscribers, a lot more followers, and those people are used to that now.
Hmm.
But it's that little transition in between that people, you might lose some people, you might have some people just furious at the fact that you're changing their content. So it's really a great field, but if you see your content engagement go down, I would totally suggest creating something new.
How do you feel about collaboration? Do you find that that has value? And do you have any examples, perhaps, that you can cite?
Yeah, it has incredible value, and I think the reason why it's because you're putting one audience, like audience one and audience two, and you're kind of merging them. And so some people that are interested in you might be interested in them, and vice versa.
Cross-pollination.
Exactly. And so a lot of content creators that are running out of ideas, I think this is their best bet, is because, collaborating with someone else generates more ideas and more, followers from their perspective that are joining yours. So I would totally suggest doing that as often as you can. So that's why on TikTok and on Instagram, I reach out to a lot of other creators and I say, hey, if you're ever in town, or if I'm ever nearby you, let's meet up and let's do some TikTok videos. Let's create some content together, because I know that it's going to be valuable to me and to them. So it's, kind of beneficial to both of us.
Right, which is what we're doing this morning, and what we're creating is some synergy between the two platforms and the two approaches, and
Absolutely. And I think that's, how when I started posting a lot of videos with the Roadster, I think every time I was like tagging you guys, I think a lot of people decided to join onto your profile and like see what else they could find, because they were interested in that original Roadster videos.
even more in-depth
Yep.
Roadster tech.
Exactly.
We find the Roadster audience is tiny. Well, the owners, there are only about 1,500 left globally, based on a census program that we're running on our website. But the interest level seems to be increasing exponentially, not just in the tech, but in valuation, for example. Roadsters are continuing to become collectible, and the prices right now are highly volatile. But people have finally realized that this is an iconic car. It's the car that really was the genesis of the EV revolution. And now history is becoming more important, All right, let me see what other questions I have for you. We talked about you making a living or not. Does it help pay the bills, was Max's question.
I mean, it does.
Yeah. Bring up Tesla referral success, and how many referrals have you accumulated? Are you into that as well, collecting?
So I was,
Okay.
until they ended up the program.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It was really a goal of mine to get as many referrals as possible, and honestly, my goal was to probably get a free Roadster.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
How close did you get?
Not close enough.
No, okay.
Unfortunately, because I was, we talked about being early in the game,
Yeah.
and so I was early in TikTok, but I was not early on the referral program. And so I got way enough referrals to travel, do road trips every month if I wanted to get free miles of supercharging.
Right.
But unfortunately, I also, I think, got enough for the they had those like sports wheels, or what were they?
They had some giveaways, yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know what they were, but
Well, they had those like performance wheels
Mm-hmm.
that were specifically for referral based program, and I wanted those so bad, but I was too late. They ran out of those,
okay.
giving it to people, and then I reached out amount of referrals, and I was like, oh, I missed out on that one. And I think it was the same for the Roadsters. I think people got, they sold so many cars that they realized too many people were getting referrals, and so they were giving out Roadsters like it was nothing. And I wish I would have jumped on that boat earlier, but I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some people that actually are getting those cars when they come out.
Yeah, when they come out.
Yeah.
But I think I was at 25 maybe referrals.
For you? Yeah.
So
Oh, any upcoming projects you're excited about?
I have a lot of brand collaborations, which really helps out obviously with my bills. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people are realizing that content creators have a big space in advertising. And so that's where, I'm trying to do a lot better in 2022. I think I was a lot focused on what my content was and not on the content that I could provide to others. Um, but then in terms of my actual content, what I have for 2022, I think is, coming up with a lot of new modifications for my car. In January, I've already installed my new front lip, my new spoiler, new mirror caps, um, upgraded my steering wheel. I have a couple little surprises that I haven't announced yet, but actually, maybe I have. I think it didn't get enough views for me to say it, but it was basically the underglow and the suspensions that I have. So the car's gonna look a lot different. And then I also have more wrapping vinyl that's coming in. So I might change up the wrap just to
No.
come up with new content.
Are you getting these as free endorsements, or are you paying for these, or is it a combination of free labor, free materials?
That's a good question. I actually get a lot of things for free. That's true, but I also have certain modifications that I do pay for, including installation of certain products. I do pay for that. And then I think the wrapping vinyl, I will have to pay for that. I do get a discount,
Mhm.
but for example, the front lip, steering wheel, all these kind of things, I do get those for free.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, which I'm very, very thankful for because that's basically the base of my content.
Right.
And so I think I got into a rhythm of creating content and getting free product at the same time. So it was beneficial for me and for my content and for the brand. So it was like a perfect combination of it all.
Right. What I cringe is when I see the big content creators spend a substantial amount of time advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, granted, we're all used to it.
True.
Free television is full of advertisement, but it was enjoyable having these platforms like YouTube, be advertising free until they're starting to really cut into our videos. Our videos, for example, I'm often amazed. You can't watch the video without getting like 4 commercials, and they somehow seem to time it so that it cuts off at the wrong time. Do we control that, or do they, Jesse?
You can control that.
We can
On
control
YouTube?
it?
We can, but we just let it auto.
Yeah, we just let it auto feed in.
Auto do it, yeah.
Yeah.
We can go in there and set the different times, and usually, what I've seen some of the bigger creators do is they'll right at a dramatic moment or something, they'll cut it
Yep.
and throw an ad in there.
Right, yeah.
It's like, and this is happening, and then you have the ad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what
Yep.
happened with the video I was watching. I thought, oh, I'm about to make a great point, and I thought, oh, come on, a hemorrhoid commercial? That's the wrong timing.
It's super smart because you have to watch the rest of the ad in order
Yeah.
to see what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's really genius, actually.
All right. Are there companies he's really enjoyed working with besides us, of course?
I mean, you're the best.
Oh, thank you. There we go. We've answered that question. But seriously, who else have you worked with that you were really impressed with?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, if we're the only ones, that's fine with me.
I mean, I would have to think about that one.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it's for my best interest to just not
Yeah, to just not mention
to
any
just
other
not
companies,
mention
yeah.
who the best was because I think all the brands that I've worked with were incredible brands.
So in a perfect world, if you could have someone come along and ask to collaborate with you, who would you be most impressed with if they came to see you?
As a content creator
As a
themselves.
content creator, yeah.
Ooh.
So who are your idols, in other words? Who are you emulating?
I really enjoy watching Carwow on YouTube. I think that it's so interesting to see the difference in price, performance of all those cars, on a drag race. I know Teslas are pretty famous for drag racing. So I think it would be really interesting to have my car on one of their videos, but I know they're in the UK and it would basically be impossible for me to get my car all the way out there just for a race.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see similar cars in performance face to face and see, for the price how it compares.
Right.
And they always make fun of electric cars. I know he bought a Tesla for his mom, which was he's a big Tesla fan, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I would probably enjoy collaborating with him.
What do you think of the, and this is deviating from the script, but the content providers that have a definite, I don't know how to word this, the emotions, the gestures, like Scotty, for example, the car guy. Scotty, what's his name? Kilmore?
Kilmer, yeah.
Kilmer, yeah. Do you think that those guys are successful because they have such incredible consistency and don't deviate?
So absolutely, and most of those people are probably on YouTube. It's so important on YouTube to really have a brand for yourself. Yourself, you're the content creator, you're a brand. And so if people don't have, for example, a certain way that you say things or a certain gesture that you do, people, you know, need to get used to that type of content on YouTube.
Right.
And on TikTok, a lot of those YouTube creators try to do the same thing on TikTok and it doesn't work as well because they see so much content, on their feed. So it's hard for them to remember that specific, gesture, that specific voice.
Right.
So I think a lot of people that work on consistency on TikTok is more of the content based and not
Yeah.
like the personal voice or the personal gesture, whatever it is on YouTube.
Being a child of the 60s, this is reminiscent of, at that time, television, sitcoms. And the successful sitcoms maintained a purity throughout their entire season after season, and that's what people came to expect. If you shake it up and you change the actors and you change the direction that you're going, those were the ones that were unsuccessful. It was the ones where you always got the predictable content consistently, time after time. Even cartoons, for example.
Yep.
So yeah, what you're saying resonates, and I guess you're kind of stuck with the plan that you started with.
Yes, and for example, if we're talking about my content, if I did anything that's not Tesla related, I would probably expect it not to do as good, just because people are expecting, to see some Tesla content. So, for example, last weekend I had a lot of footage in Las Vegas in a Lamborghini, and I was like, oh, that would be great for my TikToks.
Right,
But I ended up not posting anything because I know that people are not used to that type of content.
because it would deviate.
It would deviate, and so I decided not to do it. So I posted some reels on Instagram because I think this is still a new platform on Instagram, and it didn't do as well either.
So here's a problem for us content providers then in the future. Tesla right now dominates, and it's an easy target to exploit. But you have a lot of other EV producers that are coming online with some great products. The Nikolas, the Lucids, even the Chinese companies, Aptera,
Yep.
Solo. Yeah. I suppose that you could maintain some purity and consistency in your brand by continuing to do, in our case, the technical analysis of those vehicles.
Yep.
And that's why people would flock. And in that scenario, an expansion into another platform like Lucid, for example, might even enhance and develop a new clientele and keep the original ones intact. But that's going to be interesting because we'll have to test that theory. No one
Yep.
has come to us yet and said, hey, guys, we're going to give you a Lucid Air and we want you to test the heck out of it. And, Sandy is seeing some of that business, but it's spotty.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to have the main type of content for your brand to be a little general. So, for example, yours would probably be EV and all of its tech. And for example, for mine, I need to deviate from just being a Tesla and being more of the gold because the gold I can put on any car. Being also EV related because if I want to switch, I can get a Lucid and make it gold.
Right.
It would be the only issue that I had, and I didn't expect to have 2 million followers at this point, is I put my name as the Golden Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
So Tesla is ingrained into my brand now.
Yeah.
And so that's where every day I keep thinking, hey, if I had to switch up and not have this specific Tesla, what will I do?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm still, brainstorming about.
Right.
You're lucky yours is, it doesn't have Tesla directly on the brand. So it was really smart of you to do that.
It wasn't intentional, but yeah, thank you.
Okay.
It happened that way. Well, Simon, it's been a pleasure having you here and joining us in this early morning podcast. So, Simon, do you have any channels that you want to promote and tell us about? How can our viewers see your content?
So on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, especially TikTok, it's _golden_Tesla. And that's where you'll be able to find me for more Tesla content. And I want to thank you again for inviting me on this podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. It's always nice having a local co-collaborator that we can, invite out to our facility.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So be sure to watch us on YouTube. Check out our website, grubermotors.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok. What is it?
Patreon.
Oh, Patreon, yes, and Patreon. Definitely check us out on Patreon. And as always, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure.